Truly possessed. So at this time, I want to open up the discussion between Lou, Father Bob, and myself. And we do have some questions for Father Bob regarding exorcism and possession. The last time we spoke, the last time you were here, we talked a little bit about this, so I want to touch again on it. If you can tell the viewers what some of the stages of possession are.
Stages of possession or demonic influence, they're not really stages of possession. They are stages of demonic influence. And that doesn't mean it's a progression, but rather they are different types of demonic activity. Father Gabriel Amorth, the chief exorcist of Rome and one of the leading, if not the most knowledgeable person in this area of the demonic, puts two categories together. First, there is the ordinary activity. The ordinary activity of the devil is through temptation, everyday temptation, when we make decisions. It's kind of like, the angel and the devil on the back. When we make a moral decision, we make a decision to do good or to do evil. That's the ordinary activity.
Most people are.
Yeah, most people. It doesn't mean you need an exorcism or anything. That's just how the devil works, is he'll try to tempt us away from doing the right thing and what God would want us to do. That's the ordinary. Now there's also extraordinary activity. That's the second category. And Father Amorth gives us 6 different areas of demonic activity. The first one is causing external physical pain by evil, by a demon. And we can cite in the life of some Catholic saints such as St. Padre Pio and St. John Vianney, the patron saint of parish priests. They were actually assaulted by the devil. They were thrown around, they were hit, they were knocked about. Yeah, and so so that is one of the types of demonic activity. Holy people have been assaulted. Even in some exorcisms, the afflicted person would lash out. It would be the demon inside of him. But again, this activity, although there's external pain, it doesn't affect the person's immortal soul. So there's no need of exorcism, just prayer. Padre Pio and St. John Vianney and the other saints use prayer to counter that and, again, to get relief. The second activity is called infestation, and that affects houses or property, things, and even animals. And I would say that a bulk of our cases are cases of infestation of negative entities or demonic entities in a place, particularly a home. The third type is oppression. And again, of all the demonic activity that is most prevalent, I think, in a person is oppression. And people mistake it for possession, and it isn't.
Well, we've seen that several times.
Right. People just don't know the stages or the different types of activity. They all lump it together in oppression. But it's the most common case, again, for our group. There is no possession. There is no loss of consciousness. There's no involuntary action. It's just whatever the demon is affecting their lives. If you go in the Old Testament book of Job, that's a perfect example of oppression. Just things going wrong, just everything falling apart. And that's an oppression.
An outside influence.
Outside influence is not inside of the person, possessing the person.
Right.
Another activity is called obsession. And these would be sudden attacks of some kind of ongoing obsession. It could be of thoughts, even absurd thoughts, where the victim is unable to free themselves from these obsessive thoughts, such as depression, dreams, desperation. And these would almost be inconsistent with known illnesses. So in other words, even though, they may have these symptoms, nothing in the medical field can help them.
Right.
Okay? And again, as I go through these, it doesn't mean that if you fit this bill, that means the devil is doing it. Because there is mental illness, there is depression, guys and girls who break up with their spouses, a husband who breaks up with a wife, you're going to go through depression. You
Right.
lose your job, you're going to go through. That doesn't mean the devil is involved. And then finally, the rarest or the rare case is actual demonic possession. Again, in all of these, it does not affect the person's immortal soul. That's where the demon takes full control of the body, but not the soul.
Right.
And again, what you see manifesting is speaking and acting without the knowledge or the consent of the victim. Their will is pushed aside. Okay?
So it would be full control. Would you say partial control would be?
Well, it'd be a form of possession. It'll be, a partial form of possession.
Something in between oppression and possession, maybe?
Could be. But usually if it gets a foothold like that, I would think it would go for.
Yeah. I don't think the
continue.
partial control would last long if they were that far along. It would,
Right. It would
escalate
probably
quickly.
start as partial and then go on to full, since it's already got. One thing to also know is there's no one model of what a possessed person is like. They're all different. But there are some symptoms that we can look to, and you had mentioned them: speaking in strange tongues that they had no, or foreign tongues that they had no knowledge of before, extraordinary strength, and be able to reveal the unknown that they could know, that they could not have known. That's demonic possession, and for that you need an exorcism. And the last is even rarer. It's called subjugation or dependence, and that's a voluntary submission to Satan. As crazy and as unfathomable as we can think of it, there are some people who do submit themselves to Satan, either through a blood pact or through a consecration to Satan. But I would also involve that subjugation or dependence, some people call it perfect possession, I think, is someone giving into it. In other words, okay, this thing is happening to me, and you become dependent on it for attention or whatever, and I've seen that. The person almost identifies him or herself with the demonic activity going around.
Right.
And for that reason, their will not allow it to be free of it, and we can't do anything about it at that point.
Well, there's also the factor of manipulation too, because just because it's a possession and it's dealing with either demons or the devil, it's not necessarily that they're going to experience pain. There can be pleasure and positive side effects from it also that would allure them to want it.
Right, exactly. Again, it could be sexual, it could be a feeling like, if you do this, you'll get rewarded by somehow. Again, I think that's what would lead to a blood pact or a consecration to Satan, or seeing Satan as good.
Yeah.
He's not what the Christians say, he's really a good person and I want to follow him,
Right. You actually answered my second question, which was, what are the signs of possession? So
Okay.
I'm going to pass it to you.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
There's some others, it's not just three.
Well, if you want to continue and
Yeah.
with whatever some of the other signs are, and then I'll pass it to Lou.
Okay. Some of the other signs that we look for in the possible possession would be, first, a repugnance of things of a sacred nature or a religious nature.
Okay.
Second is insults and blasphemy. Like if you hold up a cross, you sprinkle holy water, a relic of a saint, there'll be outbursts of insults and blasphemy. Also, there would be periodic loss of consciousness after bouts of anger. Another one is the personality changes, becomes very dark and evil. And then there's periods of where it seems there's nothing going on, returns to normalcy. Okay, it goes dormant.
And that could be the manipulation also.
Right, exactly.
Right.